canción para mi gente, con una pasión tan fuerte. Ay, 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 ahora sigo cantando y sigo gozando, yo sigo cantando y sigo gozando.
Hello folks, cooking with the Gomez again, and today we're going to go back to basics. On my last video I showed people how to make Mexican rice, and today we're going to show you how to make refried beans. Now we make ours from scratch. Sometimes you don't have enough time and you may end up getting them out of cans from the store. And while it is convenient, it does not taste as good as fresh, homemade, refried beans from scratch. So, in order to do that, you have to start off with hard, dry beans, pinto beans. We use pinto beans. You can also use black beans, but we're using pinto beans today. And there's two methods that you can cook them. One is the soak method, which requires for you to leave the beans soaking in water overnight, and this helps them cook faster. And if you use baking soda in there, a little splash of baking soda, it helps also keep the effects of the gas that you get with the beans. We just cook them on the stovetop for several hours, and you know, you're talking anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. You have to make sure that you have enough water to cover the beans. So we used a half a bag of a 1 pound bag of pinto beans. And how many cups of water do you think?
I'm gonna guess between like four
or five cups of water. If you have extra water in there, it doesn't really hurt things. If you have too much, then you know you're going to have very, very watery beans. So around 5 cups of water is good for a half a bag. Then we put in half an onion, or a piece of an onion.
Yeah, small onion, or half an onion if it's larger.
And then you put in a teaspoon of salt.
I put about some salt in there. About for this batch, because it's small, a quarter teaspoon of salt. And about a teaspoon of baking soda. Right.
The baking soda is something that helps, like I said, to reduce the amount of gas. I think it also helps to cook the beans. So then you just boil those beans for a long, long time, and we already did that. So our beans are finished. They should be, you should be able to just mush them with your fingers. You should be able to squeeze them and have the bean break up. So those are ready to go. Now we're on to phase 2, and phase 2 is the refrying the beans and mashing them part. So where the flavor comes from, this is my personal family recipe. Where the flavor comes from is garlic and jalapenos. Now, I know you might be thinking, I don't like spicy food, or I don't like a lot of garlic, but you're not going to notice that there's a lot. The flavor, though, is going to be very, very good because we use a lot of garlic. So first we're going to be peeling the garlic, and I'm going to need a knife for this. So what I do with the garlic is take off just the end of it and then hold the knife down. Usually that gets the skin off. If not, there is measure 2, which is to pound it a little and break it out of its shell. And if I have to do that, I will. Rice and beans are usually staples that every Mexican has in their home all the time, every day. So beans are constantly being made. As soon as they run out or run low, you make more. And rice as well. And we joke around and we say that if the rice and the beans aren't good, the rest of the food is probably not going to be good. Because it's something that people consume almost every single day with almost every meal, right? The rice and the beans. So if you can get those two things down and you can make them right and you can make those delicious, then the rest of the food probably has as much attention and care, and that's what you want. Nemo, I'm going to have you start to press these. We have a garlic press here, so I'm going to have him take that over and start pressing the garlic for me, and I will keep peeling garlic for you. I'm practically using the entire head of garlic for this process. And there's another one. We're almost done. And you want like a medium, that was about a medium-sized head of garlic. And even though it seems like a lot of garlic, it's not going to be noticeable. One of the things that happens with this recipe when I make this is I will tell people afterwards, because they'll ask me how did I make my beans, and I'll tell them I put a head of garlic in there, and I put, you know, this is about the equivalent of a half a dozen jalapenos. They're pretty big. I don't know if you can tell. I mean, they're almost, look at, they're the size of my hand practically. So that's a lot of jalapenos. That's about a half a dozen jalapenos. I'm only using 4 because they're so big. But for this part, you might want to wear some gloves. And I'm going to because I can. And the reason is you're going to get jalapeno juice all over your hands. So if you have gloves, put them on at this point. Then you slice down the middle like this. And this is, you have to paste to have a good sharp knife for this part. You want to get it down in the vein. You see this part here? This is the vein. The veins are where all of the heat is. So you want to get down into those veins and pull them out. If you get that part out,
Cut down the spice.
yeah, you're basically taking the hearts out with the veins. You see the veins right there? They're all there. And that means that the flavor is here, but not the heat. Not very much is going to remain. So why not just use bell peppers? Because jalapenos taste better. And they have a richer, deeper green chili flavor than the average bell pepper. Bell peppers are kind of sweet. And they change the flavor profile of the bean a lot. So I always use jalapenos. You can also use serrano peppers. There's a lot of people that prefer to use serrano peppers. Serranos are hotter. They are harder to devein, and most people that put them in their beans don't devein them. I do this because, well, I don't like super spicy. My parents do. They think that deveining the jalapenos is ridiculous. But my kids and my family and the people that come and eat here appreciate it because it's not as spicy. but they still have all the flavor. So once you get all of your jalapeno hearts out, if you want, you can leave one in. You can leave a pepper that has some of the veins if you like it a little bit spicy, you know. Play with the recipe. Once you've got this down, you can make it a little bit more spicy or make it a little bit less spicy depending on what your taste is. And while this is going, I'm going to go ahead and start to heat up my pan so that we can get the oil nice and hot. Thank you. I'm on my last pepper now, which is not to say I am finished because I still have to chop these bad boys. So, there's seeds flying everywhere. That's okay, it's like confetti. Jalapeno heart removal is very festive sport. You got things flying all over the place. It's confetti! Mexican confetti. So then, you do the slices like this. And I just make a little pile of them. Again, just sliver them up like that. And sometimes it's good to wear glasses or some kind of protective eye gear, because if you get jalapeno juice flying up in your eyeball, it hurts, right? Nemo, have you ever gotten jalapeno juice in your eye?
Yes, and it's terrible.
Yeah. You definitely don't want this jalapeno juice to get all over your skin or your face. Do not touch your face when you are doing this.
Yeah, if you don't have gloves while you're working with jalapenos, you have to remember that it has a spice in it, which is oil-based, called capsaicin. And capsaicin is what gives it that spice, and how you take care of it is you use something just as oily or fatty to take care of it. So, for example, the reason that milk does a better job of taking care of spice than water does is because they're fat-based, and so that's why it takes care of it better than that, or even soda. So, if you want to get rid of jalapeno juice on your hands, you probably want to use some sort of oil or something that helps to remove oil, like something that cuts into grease, like
alcohol, rubbing alcohol,
like rubbing alcohol, or really vigorous scrubbing with like your soap.
Yeah, but I always wash my hands when I do this without gloves. I wash my hands with rubbing alcohol first, and then I also wash them with soap afterwards. Make sure to use a brush so that you get under your nails and all the nooks and the crannies. And I'm almost done with these. I need the canola oil in here, and I am going to put quite a bit of oil in here. I know that looks like a ton of oil, and there's a reason for it, and that reason is that I want to save the oil from the jalapeno. So I'm going to put a little pan in the back here so I can capture that extra oil from these jalapenos and the garlic. You can then use this oil to cook your eggs in, or to fry your potato wedges for your breakfast, or whatever. And it has garlic and jalapeno infused into the oil, and it's wonderful. And you have jalapeno garlic oil to cook with. to cook your pasta with, to whatever. It's amazing. It tastes great. Sometimes I also fry my dry peppers in the oil, and that also tastes amazing. So once I get ready to go here, I'm going to grab one of these things so I can move things around. Got my wooden spoon ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put in all of my jalapeno. I'll have you take care of the hearts. I save these jalapeno hearts. I save them and I freeze them. And then when jalapenos are very expensive, or when I have the need to make a salsa for my drowned eggs in the morning, or for chilaquiles or something, I can just grab one of these hearts. And I wish you had smell-o-vision because it smells awesome in here. I don't put the garlic in until my green chilies are a little softer, because I don't want the garlic to burn and give the bitter taste that it gets when it burns. So you want to leave the garlic for last. And this needs to cook down for a little bit, so we're going to let it go. And we'll be back in a second. Okay, so now you can see that these jalapenos have cooked down, and you can even tell that oil is green. The oil is turning color. So it's about time to put our garlic in. What do you suppose that is, Nemo?
The reason is
2 tablespoons? Three?
I would say like 2.5.
Maybe 2.5 tablespoons worth of garlic in total. Ooh, you can smell that. Now that's getting into this oil as well. And you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You got garlic and jalapeno infused oil for later. And the oil from the garlic is very sticky. You see that? It's way sticky. I'm going to save some of this. Not all of it, because we still need to refry our beans. So I'm just moving everything over here. See how sticky this garlic is? It sticks to the spoon. And I'm just going to tip this and take some of that excess oil out. It's up to you how much oil you put in there. Put extra oil in there. I'm going to leave probably with the peppers and the garlic in here a tablespoon or 2 of oil is left in here. And the vegetables cook down quite a bit, as you can tell. And they're going to kind of dissolve in a minute here when I start putting in the beans. I'm going to get this wider spoon. And this is the part where we put the beans in. Now, you can't just dump the beans in here with their juice. What you want to do is get some kind of a slotted spoon I'm using this big wide one. And I'm dumping these in. And then we begin to mash. Stop for a minute, put some more beans in. Just the beans. And some pieces of onion. That's from the onion you put in before when you cook the beans.
Which helps flavor the beans.
Yep.
But you leave out the majority of the onion.
Yep. But you got that good bean flavor. And another trick I have, I save and I freeze the bean juice. This is kind of like
Which is
pretty
great.
thick.
It's great for a broth.
It's great to use when you're sick, like a little bean broth. Mexicans eat this stuff like clear broth for, you know, bone broth or chicken broth when you're sick, when you have a cold. It's also nice to use when you're making enchiladas, to, you know, take a little bit of bean broth and put in there. You can use it for all sorts of things. We're going to put a little of it into these beans. Can I get some sea salt from you, Nemo?
Yes.
So, the beans already had some salt in them, but I'm going to add some more. You can already see this is all creamy. I don't even know if it needs that much more
Bean juice?
bean juice.
Yeah, it might be pretty solid. Because you want that kind of consistency. Not too watery. Just enough to,
To spread.
yeah, to spread and thicken.
Mm-hmm. And then, oh, where's the baking soda?
Baking soda.
A little tiny bit of baking soda. A little tiny pinch of baking soda. A little tiny bit of baking soda. And you'll notice that your beans get a little fluffy when you do that. Just a little tiny bit. And that's it. Refried beans. Done. These are the best refried beans in terms of flavor. It's a very simple recipe, but let me tell you, these beans taste great. Perfect. Try them at home. That's it for Cooking with the Gomez. Enjoy your beans.